The first time I saw Marcus Webb get thrown across Deck 7, I honestly thought he was dead. Let me back up. My name is Thrall, and I'm what you humans would call a logistics coordinator aboard the merchant vessel Horizon's Edge. Boring title, boring job, boring life. At least it was boring until Captain Vex decided we needed a human engineer. They're cheap, Vex had said, his 4 eyes blinking in that way that meant he'd already made up his mind. And apparently good with their hands. Good with their hands, right? What Vex failed to mention was that humans were also apparently insane. Marcus arrived on a Tuesday, if your species cares about such things. Average height for a human, which made him comically short compared to most of the crew. Brown hair, perpetually messy. He had this irritating habit of smiling at everything, like the universe was one big joke only he understood. "Hey there," he'd said, extending his hand toward me. "I am Marcus. You must be Thrall?" I stared at the hand. "We don't do that on my planet." Eventually, he dropped it, still grinning like an idiot. The first week passed without incident. Marcus fixed things. He fixed things we didn't even know were broken. The atmospheric recycler that had been making that weird grinding sound for 3 cycles? Silent. The gravity stabilizers that occasionally made everyone feel 20 pounds heavier? Smooth as silk. Vex was pleased. I was suspicious. Then came the incident with Krogar. Now, Krogar is what you call a problem. 7 feet of muscle and bad attitude, with arms thick as tree trunks and a temperament like a solar flare. He's a Vren, which means he's naturally aggressive, naturally strong, and naturally convinced that everyone else is beneath him. Krogar hated Marcus immediately. Little meat thing, he'd growl whenever Marcus walked past. Soft. Weak. Why is it even here? Marcus, to his credit, ignored him. Just kept smiling, kept working, kept being aggressively cheerful in a way that made me want to throw him out an airlock myself. But Krogar? Krogar doesn't like being ignored. It happened in the cargo bay. I was running inventory, which is exactly as thrilling as it sounds, when I heard the commotion. Raised voices. The particular tone that means violence is about 3 seconds away. I came around a stack of supply, crates, to find Krogar looming over Marcus, all 7 feet of him radiating menace. "You touch my tools," Krogar snarled. Marcus looked up, completely unconcerned. "Yeah, I borrowed a torque wrench. Left it right where I found it, big guy." Big guy. Oh, ancestors preserve us. He called Krogar big guy. You don't touch Krogar's things. The Vren's voice could have peeled paint. You don't even look at Krogar's things. "Look, I'm sorry if I crossed a line," Marcus said, and he actually sounded sincere. "I needed it for the coolant pump repair. Emergency situation. I should have asked first." A reasonable apology, delivered calmly. Any rational being would have accepted it. Krogar grabbed Marcus by the front of his uniform and lifted him 3 feet off the ground. Krogar doesn't accept apologies from prey. Here's where it gets interesting. And by interesting, I mean absolutely terrifying. Marcus didn't struggle, didn't scream, just hung there, dangling like a child's toy, and said, "Okay, so we're doing this the hard way." "Cool, cool, cool." Krogar pulled his arm back. I've seen that wind-up before. He was going to throw Marcus into the bulkhead hard enough to leave a dent. And he did. Krogar hurled Marcus with every ounce of his considerable strength. The human flew backward, arms pinwheeling, completely airborne. He hit the wall with a sound like a drum, and I swear I heard ribs crack. Marcus slumped to the deck and didn't move. Pathetic, Krogar spat. I was already reaching for my communicator to call medical. Humans are fragile. Everyone knows this. Thin skin, brittle bones, no natural armor whatsoever. Marcus was definitely dead, or close enough that it didn't matter. Then the corpse stood up. I'm not exaggerating. Marcus pushed himself off the floor, rolled his shoulders, and stood up. There was blood trickling from his nose, and he was definitely favoring his left side, but he was vertical and conscious and smiling. Smiling. Okay, Marcus said, wiping blood from his face. That hurt more than I expected. Krogar's expression was priceless. All 4 of his eyes went wide, his jaw hanging open in genuine shock. You should be broken. Probably am a little bit, Marcus admitted. But here's the thing about humans, Krogar. We're really hard to keep down. He started walking toward the Vren. Actually, walking toward him like getting thrown into a wall was just a minor inconvenience. Krogar backed up. I'd never seen him back up from anything. Stay back, meat thing. Marcus kept coming, each step deliberate. You know what's funny about low-gravity environments? They're great for throwing people around. Really impressive. But they also mean landing doesn't hurt quite as much as it should. Wait. The gravity settings. I noticed Marcus adjusting them earlier in the week. He'd said something about optimizing for comfort, and I'd assumed he meant making things easier for his weak human body. That magnificent, crazy bastard had been preparing. Deck 7 runs at 0.8 standard gravity. Marcus continued conversationally. Krogar was still backing up, which would have been hilarious if I wasn't so busy trying to understand what was happening. A human, barely 5.5 feet tall, was advancing on a Vren warrior like he owned the deck. 0.8 gravity, Marcus repeated, cracking his neck in a way that made my spine hurt just watching. Means I weigh about 40 pounds less than normal. Means I can take hits that would normally shatter bones. Means I've been working out in conditions that make me stronger when I get back to Earth standard. He was right in front of Krogar now. The Vren threw a punch that could have caved in a shipping container. Marcus ducked under it, smooth as water. But here's the really fun part, Marcus said, and his smile had gone from friendly to absolutely feral. It also means when I hit you, I can put my whole body into it without worrying about breaking my own hand. What happened next? I swear on my ancestors' 3 moons was the most beautiful and terrifying thing I've ever witnessed. Marcus planted his feet, rotated his hips in this peculiar human way, and drove his fist straight into Krogar's stomach. The impact sounded like a mallet hitting wet clay. Krogar doubled over, wheezing. That's for calling me a meat thing, Marcus said cheerfully. Then he brought his knee up into Krogar's face. The Vren staggered backward, green blood streaming from his nose, making sounds I'd never heard him make. Sounds that were definitely not aggressive. More like confused and possibly scared. Marcus wasn't done. He swept Krogar's legs out from under him, and 7 feet of muscle and attitude hit the deck like a cargo container falling off a loader. The entire cargo bay went silent. Everyone had stopped working to watch. Marcus stood over Krogar, breathing hard, definitely injured but absolutely triumphant. We good now? Or do you need another lesson in human stubbornness? Krogar groaned something that might have been words. Great. Glad we sorted that out. Marcus offered his hand to help Krogar up. The Vren stared at it like it might explode. Come on, big guy. No hard feelings. You threw me into a wall. I punched you in the face. We're even. Krogar, and I still can't believe this, took the hand. Marcus hauled him up with surprising strength for someone who'd been launched across the room 5 minutes earlier. Your tools are by the port airlock, Marcus added. The torque wrench is in pristine condition. Sorry again for borrowing it without asking. Then he limped away, still bleeding, probably concussed, definitely with at least 2 cracked ribs. I followed him to medical, because somebody had to make sure he didn't collapse and die in a corridor. That was stupid, I told him as the medical scanner hummed over his torso. Probably, Marcus agreed. But effective. You could have been killed. Nah. He winced as the scanner found something it didn't like. Krogar's a bully. Bullies fold when you hit back. Plus, I did the math. Knew I could take the impact. You did the math on being thrown into a wall. I'm an engineer, Thrall. I do math on everything. He grinned, then immediately regretted it when his split lip started bleeding again. Besides, someone had to teach him that humans don't stay down. The medical officer, a gentle Pelthrian named Riva, finished her scan. 3 cracked ribs, severe bruising, minor concussion, and what I believe you humans call a bloody nose. Could be worse, Marcus said. You also somehow managed to crack his jaw and break his nose, Riva added with what I recognized as professional disapproval. Krogar will be fine, but he's extremely unhappy. He started it. Riva applied a dermal regenerator to his ribs. That's what he said too. Word spread fast on a ship. By evening shift, Everyone knew what had happened. The reactions were mixed. Some species thought Marcus was crazy. Others thought he was brave. A few thought he was both. Krogar avoided him for the next week. Then, gradually, something strange happened. Krogar started being almost polite. He'd nod when Marcus walked past. Once, I even saw him hand Marcus a tool without being asked. It was unsettling. I don't understand, I told Marcus one evening in the mess hall. You fought him. You won. But why is he being respectful now? Marcus shrugged, chewing on something that was definitely not meant for human consumption, but which he ate anyway, because humans apparently have stomachs made of industrial solvent. Vren culture values strength, right? I showed him I'm not weak. Now he respects that. He paused. Also, I think he's never met anyone who got back up after he threw them. Probably scared him a little. You're insane. Little bit, yeah. That insufferable smile again. But I'm alive, the ship runs better than ever, and nobody calls me meat thing anymore. I'd call that a win. He had a point. Several points, actually, all of them valid. Captain Vex appeared at our table, his 4 eyes focused on Marcus. Engineer Webb, I've been reviewing reports of your altercation with Krogar. Marcus straightened, suddenly serious. Sir, I can explain. No need. Vex's mandibles clicked in what I'd learned meant amusement. Krogar filed a complaint, then withdrew it, then filed a commendation for your work on the coolant systems. Very confusing. Vren are complicated, sir. Apparently. Vex studied him. You're not what I expected when I hired a human. Few people are, sir. Good. Keeps things interesting. Vex turned to leave, then paused. Try not to get thrown into any more walls, Webb. Medical supplies are expensive. I'll do my best, sir. After Vex left, I looked at Marcus, really looked at him. Still short. Still smiling. Still absolutely, completely insane. You planned all of this, didn't you? I asked. The gravity adjustments, borrowing Krogar's tools, everything. Marcus's smile grew wider. I'm an engineer, Thrall. I solve problems. By getting thrown into walls? Whatever works. He stood up, wincing slightly. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to recalibrate the navigation sensors. They're 0.03% off optimal, and it's driving me crazy. I watched him limp away, this small, fragile, absolutely terrifying human, and realized something important. Humans don't survive because they're strong. They survive because they refuse to quit. Because they do the math, take the hit, get back up, and smile while doing it. Absolutely terrifying. And Vex wonders why I drink. So what did you think? Did this story surprise you? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this sci-fi story, please hit the like button. It really helps the channel grow. And don't forget to subscribe for more mind-blowing science fiction stories every week. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next story.